Good morning. So we're on Tuesday, the 16th of June, and the section of Shulchan Aruch and Mishna Brura for today. Mi shemeneach tefillin shel yad uveirach, somebody who put on the hand tefillin and said the bracha, uvitchila tahiduk, and at the beginning of tightening it, nifsak hakesher shel yad, the knot of the hand tefillin broke, vehutzrach, from the word tsarich, need, so he needs la'asot kesher acher, to tie a new knot. Omnam, however, lo hisiach da'ato, he has not removed literally his understanding, his mind, his intention. He still has intention for this tefillin. He's in the middle of putting on tefillin, so it broke. He's still very much thinking about it. Einot tzarich lachzor ulevarech. He does not, again, need to go back and to say the new bracha. So it's covered in your original bracha. Im hutar shel yad kodem hanachat shel rosh, and if hutar means to be unbound or undone, it comes undone. So the shel yad becomes undone before he has put on the shel rosh. Mehad kan, you tighten it, ve'ein tzarich lachzor levarech, and you do not need to return and say a new bracha. So whether it snapped or whether it came undone, you don't need a new bracha. But if he put on his head tefillin and then the arm tefillin came undone afterwards, mahadek umavarech, you will tighten it and you will say a new bracha. Why? Because again, it's the same principle that we saw yesterday. Whilst you are busy with the tefillin, you have in mind that my bracha applies to my putting on tefillin. If the process is interrupted, so I'm still doing that process. However, once I've completed the process, my bracha, in my mind, is completed. And now, the fact that it's now come undone, I've now almost taken off my tefillin unwittingly, I'll need to go back with a bracha. Mutar levarich ala tefillin she'ulin. New halacha. It is permissible to bless for borrowed tefillin, sho'el, which means both to ask and to borrow. You understand why? It's the same root. I'm asking you for something, to borrow it. Velo al gazulin, but not for stolen. Gezel gazul, you are allowed to bless for borrowed tefillin, but you are not allowed to bless for stolen tefillin. Why those will be, we'll see in a second. So the first law we said, you're putting on your hand tefillin and it snaps and you fix it. You don't say new bracha. Mishna Brura says, Shel yad vuadin betfilin shel rosh dinahachi. It's the same thing when you're dealing with the head tefillin, has the same law. Why? Lo hisiach da'ato. You need to make a new knot, however you did not remove your intention from it. Vafilu im sach ben tayim letzorich inyan. Even if sach means to speak or converse, even if you spoke ben tayim in the meantime, right, between them, for the needs of the matter, in other words, regarding the tefillin, eino hefsek b'diavad. That is not an interruption, hefsek, interruption, b'diavad, posto facto. Once it's already done, we don't say, okay, well, you've lost out. Uchid lekaman, siman, okay, he gives the reference like we'll see later on. Vain leil, and take a look earlier as well, we won't now go into those. And to say a new bracha. Why don't you need to say a new bracha? De kevan, since the lona asadain mitzvah tanacha, you have not yet fulfilled the mitzvah of putting on the tefillin. Nimtza delochala adayin habracha al shum mitzvah. It did not. Chal means to take effect. Not at all related to the plaited bread. It's a totally different chala. It did not chal, did not take effect. Adayin, yet. So it did not yet take effect, al shum mitzvah, on any mitzvah. Again, I said the bracha, but I haven't done the mitzvah. Va'asiyat hakesher eno mafsik. And making the knot is not considered an interruption, a break. The knot is not a break. Kavin shum inyan ha-mitzvah. Since this is from the idea of the mitzvah. Al kain, chayel ha-bracha al hanachashniya. Therefore, it takes effect, that same word chal, on the second time, second time that I get it right. Umizeh, and from this, yesh lemor, we should learn from here. B'mishi yesh bi'arot tefillin bli kesher. What about somebody who is holding in his hand tefillin without, bli, without a knot? Uveirach ve'asa kesher ve'hinyach. He says the bracha, and he puts on, and he makes the knot, and then he puts on. So even though that's obviously not the correct way to do it, first you should get your tefillin ready and then say the bracha as we saw. But he's saying, let's say he didn't do that. He said the bracha, then he makes his tefillin and puts it on. The b'di'avad, post facto, once it's already done, shapir. Shapir is Aramaic for good. Shapir olah comes up, lo habracha she'asa. It comes up good, the blessing that he did. In other words, it comes out okay. The asiyata kesher eino hefsek, because we see the principle that making the knot is not considered a break, and therefore the fact that I took a bit of time to make this knot during the bracha, even though the bracha should just be right before, so it's not the ideal way to make a bracha, but it's not considered a break between the bracha and the action. Umashma midivra shulchan aruch, and it is implied, mashma implies, comes from the word shma, to hear. It makes us hear, it implies, from the words of the Shulchan Aruch, te'im, that if, la'achar shehidek ha-tfilin ala zroa, after I attached the tefillin to my arm, nifsak ha-kesher, the knot broke, tzarich lachazor levarech, I will need to go back and say a new bracha. Why? Tikvar, because already nigmar, finished, from the word gamar, to finish, already nigmar ma'aseh ha-mitzvah, the act of the mitzvah. And it is like they've moved from their place, that that you would need to say new bracha when you put them on, as mentioned above. However, the later authorities argued with us, and they wrote, since the blessing of lehaniach tefillin that I said before I put on the hand tefillin, Ka'igamal tefillin shorosh, applies also to the head tefillin. The bracha applies actually to both. Kid'ita le'el, as we saw above, that the first bracha of your hand tefillin applies to both. La'aniach tefillin applies to both. Ashkenazim simply say a second bracha for the head tefillin. It's not that the first bracha is only for the hand and the second is only for the head. The first bracha applies to both. V'im kain kozman shelo aniach tefillin shorosh. If so, the entire time that he did not put on his head tefillin, adayin, asuk, he is still involved, b'mitzvah hashayach le'oto bracha, with the mitzvah that is shayach, relevant to that bracha. V'lo nigmar adayin ha-mitzvah, and it is not yet finished, the mitzvah, sheberach alav, that he said the blessing, ad she'aniach gamashal rosh, until he puts on also the head tefillin. Okay, therefore, just like when the knot of the hand tefillin was undone, before I put on my head tefillin, the Shulchan Aruch says that I don't need to go back and say new bracha. It's the same thing. If the knot actually breaks, I don't need to go back and say new bracha, even after I finished my hand tefillin, because it's part of that same mitzvah of the bracha. And if the knot broke, the knot of the head or of the hand broke after I've already put on the tefillin shel rosh and attached it, then everyone would agree that I need to go back and say the new bracha. And if there is no one there who knows l'takein, to fix the knot, and you need to now go and take new tefillin, b'chol gavnei, in any gavan matter, it's another Aramaic word, in any manner, any form, then certainly you're going to have to go back and bless. Tadami lahad the siman reish vav, because like another case, in other words, you're now putting on new tefillin. So there's no way that your old bracha will carry new your first bracha on the old tefillin will carry through to your new tefillin as well.